teaches you how to. Well, if you're ready, we'll get started.
Okay.
I'm going to do a little spiel here.
All right.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. It's Jeny's Tattle Tales, and I am Jeny Heckman. I am the award-winning paranormal romance author of the Heaven and Earth series, and this is my video blog / podcast where we talk about all things writing. We talk about authors, new and old, and we talk about their work as well as lifestyle. So I wanted to welcome you here today, and thank you so much for joining me.
We're so excited to have you here. Is this your first podcast?
Yes.
Well, I promise we won't be too scary.
Okay.
We're just going to ask a couple questions and just get to know you. Oops. Is that my?
Yes.
Sorry, my phone is ringing.
We're gonna cut this out. Oh, what's your phone?
Oh, it's up there. Just cancel it. Sorry about that. I'm
no
so sorry.
problem. I'm gonna turn mine off.
I
should have done that before I got on.
Oh,
okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna. Okay. Boy, we're all disjointed already. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So, and today we're spotlighting her book entitled "A Little in Love with Death." So welcome, Anna, and I'm so glad that you're here. And we're going to ask a few questions of you and get to know you a little bit more as a person and an author.
Okay.
And about your book. So here's one that is going to require a little bit of thinking.
Okay.
But what is the most inspirational thing you've ever done in your life?
I'm a retired minister.
Wow.
And so my job was helping develop pastoral care things. And I think the most inspiring thing I ever did was help my church develop what's called a Blue Christmas service.
Ooh.
And what it is what most people don't know is that the Advent Christmas season is like a time when there's like high suicide and people are very depressed. And because everybody else is celebrating, they feel even more isolated.
Oh.
So what a lot of churches have started doing is on the longest night of the year, December 21st, right? The solstice.
Yeah.
They hold what are called Blue Christmas services, which allow people to honor that this is a hard time of the year for them. And so all the songs about comfort, about being there for people. The scriptures are about support. And then what we did was we had candles, blue candles. And so if someone had lost a job or lost a loved one or something was broken, they could light as many candles as they needed to acknowledge those losses.
Oh.
And I tear up now thinking about it because of all the things I've ever done, I think that was the most inspirational and the most helpful for people. And I miss that.
Yeah. Well, and right now too, I mean, boy, this past Christmas, with everything that's gone on, that's so, and suicides and depression is so up right now. Wow. That is probably one of my favorite things I've heard. That's amazing. That's really, really cool. Good for you. Really, honestly, that's really cool. Okay. So who do you love the most? Or let's see, what do you love the most that other people don't like and wouldn't understand that you do? Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's a good question. Because there really isn't much that I don't like that people don't like.
Yeah.
It's a good question. Actually, again, going back to my ministry work, most people don't like confronting people or having to have hard conversations. And that's my forte.
Oh. Wow.
I mean, at the church where I worked, the saying was, if you need a no, go get Reverend Anna. So yeah, I mean, something about, the need to have hard conversations is really about helping people own a truth that
Ooh.
they have been avoiding. And it's like having those hard conversations frees people up from
Oh,
carrying that weight and that burden. So,
love.
you know, I used to go, I used to be sent to the most conflicted churches because I was not afraid of conflict. I was not afraid of having those hard conversations. And at the same time, I learned how to be loving in those conversations,
Oh,
not the hard,
yeah.
you know, I'm gonna beat you down with the truth kind of thing, but you know, learned how to share truth in love. So yeah, that's
Wow, that's really, you are very inspiring. I'm already just, this is really, really touching me. It's really cool. And it is true because people they do struggle. They tend to try to shy away from confrontation, or a lot of people do. They try to shy away from confrontation and things. And so to have that knack, that's a gift, really.
yeah,
It's a
it
real
really
gift.
is.
Yeah. Okay, so what was the hardest, most unusual or interesting part of the story that you wrote to research for A Little in Love with Death?
The hardest part was deciding the format of the story, because I had originally written it as kind of like a short story, and I was thinking I wanted to include it now into this Haunted Harlem series. So I came up with doing it as a dual time story. So I don't know if you've ever heard of that,
Yeah,
but you know how part of the story takes place in the past and part in the present, and that where the past and present come together is how the mystery is solved.
love
And
it.
so I latched onto that, and that helped me to really grow this story. But then by the time it was for me to put it up, I didn't, the past part of the story had taken over the story.
Oh.
So the hardest thing for me to do was to separate them again into separate stories,
Oh,
and then go back and see how A Little in Love with Death, what strengthening it needed, because now it didn't have the past part to kind of make the reader anticipate what they were going to learn in the future.
yes.
So
So you did wind up doing this dual idea, or you X'd out the past one and you did a whole modern day story, or did you do the dual thing?
I did the dual thing,
Okay.
but then what I had to do was, because like I said, the past part of the story took over, I had to pull all that out. So that's going to be another story in the series.
Oh, well, you got a whole new book out of it then. That's cool.
Yep, I have its title already. It's called Always the Dead Between.
Ooh.
And so
like
that was the hardest thing, like, you know, because like you have these two versions, right? And it's like, which is the one? Which is the one? And so finally, what I picked, just do the straight story and let the other one be its own story. So that was the hardest thing.
It does take courage though, doesn't it? Because I mean, when you have it set in your mind about what you want to write, and then you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and you don't really want to sway from it, that's pretty brave to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to take this and I'm going to take it out. I'm going to get rid of my idea, or my, you know, are you a plotter or a pantser? Plotter. So you're organized. I know I do that too. You're organized and you have a plan and you don't want to deviate. And now you've made this choice to do that. That's brave. That's cool.
Yeah. And everybody was liking the dual time version.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, I'm swimming against the tide with this decision. What am I going to do? And it's like, the deadline is coming. You have it on pre-order. You got to meet that deadline. Yep. So I just bit the bullet and did it.
Wow. And now it's probably so much better. And you've got another story from it. So that's really cool. Yeah. And what are 2 or more of your all-time favorite books in any genre?
Oh, all-time favorite. Well, golly.
So many, right?
Yeah, I know. But, you know, it's like, okay, so what are the ones that I always go to? Okay, so the very first in-depth book that J.D. Robb wrote. I think it was Naked in Death.
Yes, that was a good one.
Oh, I mean, that and another one in that series, Conspiracy in Death. I think I like Conspiracy in Death even more than Naked in Death, because that's where I really saw how J.D. Robb used the strength, Eve Dallas's strength, to become a weakness. And it was like, oh my God, here it is, because you always hear that, you want the character, you want to, for character growth, how do you make the strength a weakness? I'm like, how do you do that? And then I read that and it was like, so Conspiracy in Death, definitely. And then John Galsworthy's The Forsyte Saga. That book, I read that book, maybe when I was in high school.
Really?
I read the first, because he had a trilogy, but the Forsyte Saga, the first 2 books of that trilogy have stayed with me all these years, because again, the bad guy in the first book, Soames, becomes the good guy in the second set. I was like, so, it seems that books that deal with character growth are my heart.
When you like somebody that kind of redeems themselves, right? You kind of root for that bad guy to turn into a good guy and realize that he's got issues or problems and he wants to fix them. That's always a great story. And Nora really is, she's totally, props to her, because my gosh, she's made that series, the In Death series. I mean, how many books has she written of that?
I think it's
still fresh.
I think it's up to 52.
It's crazy. I mean, Eve Dallas should be walking around with a cane by now, and she's oh, I love it. I love her. And she's also very the other thing I like about that series is that things that she wrote way back when with that very first book, they're kind of coming true. Things like, telling your lights to go at 50% and, all those things. It's incredible. That's why she's the queen, right?
I do have one more favorite by Beverly Jenkins.
Oh, I love her.
The very first Beverly Jenkins I ever read was called Topaz. And I just love how she brings history, into her stories. So it's like, she has this term called edutainment. And I was like, yes, Bev, educate me and entertain me. I love it. So that Topaz, oh my gosh.
Did you ever go to one of her classes at one of the conferences?
No, because see, I would only go every 5 years when it was in New York.
Okay. Okay.
so and Denver was my first non-New York conference.
Okay.
So no, but I am registered for a conference that she's the keynote for at the end of this month. So I'll actually get to see her live in Zoom.
She's very dynamic, and she's kind of like you. She's very inspiring, and I loved her class. She really. And she kind of I don't think she's a plotter. If I remember right, she's a total pantser, and she doesn't understand, the whole writing Bibles and all the plotting. And she just comes up with those things. And I have no idea. Those people are just amazing to me, but she's very dynamic. You're going to really like her.
I think I did see her in a panel discussion in Denver. It was her, Alyssa Cole, and another woman who does, revolutionary history.
Okay.
So I think I did get a chance to experience her. And the last time I was in New York, I got my picture taken with her.
Oh.
I fangirled. I said, oh, Miss Bev, can I have your picture, please? And she said, get in the picture with me. So of course now I can't find it because we moved to New Mexico, right?
That's the other thing about her. She's very sweet. She doesn't, she's so big, and I mean, she's just like Nora, and she's so big, and she just is so humble and gracious and lovely. I really got a lot out of her class. Okay, do you have a favorite quote? Something that you either live by or just something that inspires you?
Yeah, Well, actually, there's two. Because I'm impatient and get angry when things are bad and it just seems like evil is winning. So Martin Luther King Jr. has this quote that says, "The moral arc of justice is long, but the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice."
Ooh, oh,
And so it's
that's
like,
good.
right, it's like evil seems to triumph today, but the moral arc of the universe is long and it
Mm.
bends towards justice. So,
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
lovely.
when I hear the news or, the last 4 years, I went to that quote a lot.
That's cool. I love, I mean, he's a very motivational man anyway, but that's a great one. I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other one comes from the Bible, about how do you live your life. And it's from Micah 6:8. And basically says, God has shown you what is good. And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly before God?
Hmm, that's
So,
nice.
like, when I get a big head, that's
Yeah.
the one I pull down.
Get down a little bit.
I had to use it a lot in my conflict work with the churches.
Oh, I bet you do. Yeah.
Love mercy. Had to be merciful.
All right. Here's another one that's a little bit different.
Okay.
Who is your biggest cheerleader on earth or angel in heaven?
Oh, wow. Wow. It's funny because I made a vision board for 2021 and I have a whole corner that has my angels, all my angels,
Oh,
posted up there. So, well, I have to say my biggest cheerleader is my husband here on earth.
yeah, I love it.
He goes like, what do you need? What can I do? And then he kids me. He's like, because you're our retirement income. You're gonna get that movie deal from that book, so let's go.
Right? Exactly. Is he retired as well?
Yep, he's retired too.
What did he do? What did he do for a living?
He was a high school teacher.
Oh, lovely. Oh,
But he specialized in training young people how to almost co-counsel their peers.
Oh, like natural helpers.
I guess I don't know what it's called. But I mean, like his background, he was hired as a biochemistry teacher, right?
Yeah.
But then he was so good at enabling students who failed multiple times because he taught them how to take the tests. He taught them how to then they transitioned him to working with these harder cohort students who could never get through, and he was just phenomenal in helping them to realize their potential, and like the hardcore gangbangers wanted to be in his class.
Oh boy, that's such a compliment. Wow. That must have been hard for him to retire from, because that had to have been really rewarding.
Well, no, because he loved it, but then he became I hate to use the word obsessed, but that's the only word with climate change. And so his science background took him into that, and he started doing presentations on climate change, and then he started training the kids on how to do those presentations. So he was ready to retire, and now he's doing those kind of presentations out here where we retired,
That's
so
nice. He's able to just kind of really focus on something that he really feels passionate about, and that's really cool. That's cool. Is there a message in your novel that you want readers to grasp?
Yeah, the trope that I work with all my work, whether whatever my pen name is, second chances. And so in this particular story, the hero and the heroine have been separated for 10 years, and separated also by philosophy. She believes in supernatural. He's like, no, there's a scientific answer for everything. But the message that I hope people take away in that, what enabled them to come together is to begin to really listen to the other person, and
Yeah.
compromise that way is not a dirty word. If there's mutual respect, we can still disagree, but we can come together. And I think
Okay, I think that's going to wrap it up for Jeny's Tattletales today. I hope you have an absolutely splendid day, and I want to really thank you for joining me, and I hope to hear from you and see you next time.